Good morning, welcome back to Near Post Flick On, Game Week 36, the roundup. What an interesting couple of games we've had over the weekend. Of course, the most interesting games are the top four or top five encounters. I mean, there are a few teams still trying to fight for those positions, but it just seems to me, based on the weekend's performance, that some teams don't want to qualify for the top four, top five. They don't want Champions League football, and it's very, very strange because you'd think with about three games or now two games left to go, certain teams would kind of dig in and grind a result. But it's like these teams don't want it. What is going on? So we dive straight into it. Fulham, Everton. Everton won that game 3-1. I thought Fulham would win the game, but they didn't. Everton showed up and showed out. Again, I'll say that was a match of no real significance because Fulham aren't going to qualify for any European competition this season, and Everton are pretty much safe. So it was just one of those, one of those games, I guess. It's all about pride, isn't it? And Everton did come up trumps with that 3-1 victory. I didn't expect it, but they certainly did it. 3-1 Everton. Going up to Ipswich, Brentford. Brentford won that game 1-0. As we know, Ipswich already relegated. So again, they're probably looking forward to Championship football next year, and Brentford can celebrate with another victory under their belt. They've had a very good season, I reckon, Brentford this season. So I'm sure the boys will be looking forward to the summer holidays. Two more games to go. Again, they're not going to qualify for any European competition. So it was just one of those games that, you just needed to win to keep your fans happy. So well done, Brentford, for that game. So this is a surprising one. Southampton, Man City. That ended 0-0, 0-0. And you think to yourself, Man City, what are you doing? That was, Southampton are dead and buried. They're finished. Finito, gone. They're absolutely obliterated. Season done from about 15 games ago, right? And then you've got Man City who are competing to be in the Champions League next year, and they've gone and drawn. I think it's St Mary's, Southampton. Yeah, they've gone and drawn, and it's 0-0. So that was pretty shocking. That was a pretty shocking result for the weekend. I didn't expect it. I thought Man City, given the fact that they're in the FA Cup final and they've strung together a few good results recently. So I thought they were already building momentum. But look, they've regressed. They've gone and drawn against Southampton, 0-0. And I would definitely laugh if Man City do not qualify for the Champions League. But although I think they will do, because it's, two games left now anyway. And as I say, in these types of situations, when you're competing for really, really limited places, it always comes down to not just the way you perform, but the way the other teams around you that are competing for the same rewards, how they perform as well. So if they're having a bad day or bad games, that pretty much works in your favour. Because let's be honest, Man City drawing to Southampton is a shit result. It's a poor result for Pep, but it is what it is. But they're still in there. They're still in there. And I did predict that they would finish in the top five or top four. So I think they are still there with a chance. But it's just a disappointing result for their fans, I guess. Moving on to Wolves versus Brighton. Brighton won this game 2-0. I think Brighton might still be in with a chance for a no. Well, I was going to say they might be in with a chance for a Conference League, or maybe, well, not a Conference League, but more so a Europa League position. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that's pretty much dead in the waters now anyway. But they did win. The fans will be happy with a 2-0 away win at Wolves. Going on to Bournemouth, Aston Villa. Aston Villa, of course, are vying for that top four, top five finish, and they did win the game 1-0, so their fans are going to be extremely happy with that. As I've always said, and I keep on championing Aston Villa because that's how impressive they were in the Champions League. So it'd be good to have them back in there. All is not lost. They did get 3 points, and as I say, the results around them have gone in their favour. So they are looking good at the moment, but two games left. It's very, very. I don't think you know how close it is between sixth place and third place. It's literally 3 points. Anything can change within the next couple of games. It's literally 3 points. So they've got to just win their last. If they can win their last two games, and the other teams falter, Villa are in the Champions League, and we'd love to have them back in the Champions League. next season. Moving on to Sunday's game, Newcastle 2, Chelsea nil. Now, that was probably the biggest result of the weekend because, of course, Newcastle and Chelsea are both competing for the top four. So, Newcastle did the business. Newcastle did the business. I mean, I don't know what Nicholas Jackson was thinking of when he threw out that elbow. I don't know why players do that. It's so stupid. I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm saying the act was stupid. It's silly. Why would you go in? Why would you go in like that? You've just literally cost your team there. But to be fair to Chelsea, to be fair to the remaining 10 players that remain on the pitch, they did dig deep and they had chances. But when you're playing 10 against 11, it's always going to be difficult, isn't it? The favour is always going to be with the 11 men. So yeah, Newcastle won that game 2-0, and they are sitting pretty in third at the moment, and they are looking likely to qualify for that Champions League position. But Chelsea, if they don't qualify, you have to look at games like these to say, you didn't do yourself any favour or any favours. Going on to Man United, who once were, Premier League greats in the past, but not so much so in the present time. They lost 2-0 to West Ham. So that leaves them 16th in the league. And, I don't know how you feel if you're a Manchester United supporter. Don't know how you feel, but 17 defeats in the league. That's crazy. That is crazy to me. But yeah, Man United lost 2-0 to West Ham. And that was at Old Trafford as well. Shocking stuff. Going on to Nottingham Forest, who again are competing for top four as well. Top four, top five. And again, they drew 2-2. That was another shocking result. They drew 2-2 to Leicester. Leicester are relegated. Leicester are done. So, and I would have thought Nottingham Forest would have won that game. But to draw 2-2 to a team that's already relegated, and you're the home side as well. You are the home side, and you've done that. It's just crazy. That's what I'm saying. These top four sides, I don't understand. These teams that are trying to get into the Champions League. Do you want to qualify for the Champions League or don't you? You're probably not going to get a chance like this again, Nottingham Forest. You probably won't. This season might just be an anomaly. It might just be a one-off. So whilst you're there, you need to make sure you win your next two games, because they've literally shot themselves in the foot. Because look at it. They've gone from being third to now being seventh in the league. And it's disappointing because I do want to see them. I do want to see Nottingham Forest in the Champions League, because it's always good to have It's always good to have different teams representing in the Champions League, and just to see how good they'll be in those competitions. But they haven't done themselves any favors. The players haven't done themselves any favors here, and we all know what the owner did, don't we? So yeah, Nottingham Forest Leicester, that ended 2-2. Spurs lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace. That was Spurs' or Tottenham's 20th defeat of the season. I think at this point, just put all focus on that Europa League final. There's no point in talking about Spurs' league form. Let's just not talk about that. Forget it. They lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace, and everybody knew they were going to lose. So anyway, moving on. Liverpool drew 2-2 to Arsenal. They drew 2-2 against Arsenal. Liverpool, of course, champions. Arsenal runners up, I'd say. Yeah, interesting game. But, Arsenal did play with 10 men as well. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. 2-2. So I think we've got two more games left this season. So I think this season's pretty much wrapped up, to be honest, because all the remaining games it's no significance aside for the top four guys, or the teams vying for that top four finish. But other than that, the last two games, it is what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much.